Good morning. It's another wonderful, beautiful day in the month of November 2022. December. Did I just say November? December. There's a whole lot to look forward to, and I am so excited. But then, in the excitement and all, we also need to know what exactly is happening in and around us. Yes, it's time for Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, where we go through the stories on the front pages, of our dailies. And we have our papers with us: The Punch, The Guardian, The Nation, and Vanguard newspaper. My name is Omobola Sandra, and I'm going to be having Fuad Said joining in via the phone line as we look deeply into the stories from the papers. And then, of course, we move on by 8:40 to Mainland Focus, where we pick one or two focal points and, put some depth into it, flesh it out, and also open up the phone line for you to be a part of the conversation. And I know a lot of people are itching to say something about the new CBN policy as regards withdrawals, or cashless. We're back to the cashless policy era. I think I remember then when the cashless policy came in, there was a lot of buzz, there was a lot of complaints, but I think one way or the other there was some sort of adjustment. But there's been a lot of reactions, and there's been a lot of responses to this particular one, because if we look deeply into it, there's a lot of inconvenience, but then there's a lot of advantages also. So we'll also look deep into that as we move on the show. But before then, good morning, Fuad.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you doing?
Well, thank you very much. So the CBN has caused another buzz in the country. I don't know. I don't know. Yesterday.
What?
Another buzz, the CBN has caused another buzz in the country as now with the withdrawal limits and whatnot. I and a lot of people, especially the POS vendors, they have a lot to say as regards that particular one. But that's the reason why I'm going to be starting with the Punch newspaper this morning, because that's the major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper. New Naira: customers, companies panic as CBN slashes withdrawal limits. So the riders to that, we have over-the-counter weekly withdrawals is now 100,000 naira for individuals and 500,000 for firms, as opposed to 1 million and 5 million before. Sorry, 3 million, not 5 million. 1 million and 3 million. 500,000 for individuals and 3 million for organizations before. So now we have here: POS terminal operators plan nationwide protest, says policy will kill businesses. And there also a practical situation on the ground doesn't support this policy. That's coming from SMEs and bank customers. So before we dig deep into this, the new CBN policy, let's look at it from a glance. So individual over the counter, the new one weekly now, every week what you can withdraw in a week is 100,000 naira. Before, you can withdraw 2.5 million weekly, so that means that 500,000 per day. Now for corporate organizations, you have weekly now is 500,000 naira, as against before was 15 million weekly, which means that that's 3 million per day. All right, now ATM also affected. ATM now is 100,000 weekly, as opposed to before that it was 1 million to 1.4 weekly. All right, and now POS now is 20,000 naira per day. So you can't go to the POS now and say you want to withdraw above this 20,000 naira. If you want to withdraw above all of this now, there's going to be some sort of surcharge on it, and that's another cup of tea entirely. Also to note is the fact that only 200 notes and below will be available for withdrawal at ATMs. If you want to withdraw from the ATM, you can withdraw 500 naira and 1,000 naira notes. It could only be dispensing 200 naira below. So 200 naira, 100 naira, I don't know if 15 naira will come in. I want to withdraw 20,000 naira now. I'm being given 100 naira. That's an interesting one. But from a distance, Fuad, what are your thoughts as regards the withdrawal limits before we move on from the story?
Well, there's no doubt. But when you ask me from a distance, I'm wondering at what distance.
Because no, the reason why I said from a distance is very simple. So a lot of people in recent times have not been, they're not cash. Well, let me put it away. They don't really work with cash. Most people do bank transactions. Most people work with their cards. They pay for things with their cards. They do transfers and all of that. So a lot of people would wonder, oh, I can't really relate to all of this because I mean, how many times do I go into the bank to withdraw over the counter? You know, a lot. That's why I said from a distance. Most people cannot totally relate with this. But then that's why I said from a distance, and then we now look at people who actually do a lot of over the counter transactions. Say for example, Amala woman where we buy food in a day, at least they make some deposits of about 3 to 4 deposits in a day because it's cash intensive. It's not something that you can't go to an Amala
place. I don't think this policy affects deposits. I think it's just majorly withdrawal.
Someone who makes that huge amount of deposits is going to be making a lot of withdrawals also.
Withdrawals too. The thing is this, I understand the fears of a number of persons who maybe require cash to do some transactions, especially the POS operators who are not just servicing a single transaction, they have to service multiple transactions in a day. Basically, giving out cash to people who want to do transfers or maybe collect cash to do other things. So they are like a mini bank, just at the service. So again, where would they get the cash to be able to run their business in a day, looking at the multiple transactions that they have to carry out? So I understand the fears of the POS operators, and when we have expected that maybe they could have done some exemptions for people with who do the POS business. But again, with everything that you exempt in Nigeria, we have situations where people now start conveying the process, everybody will now become POS. You now begin to go and get a POS and register as POS operators just to have access to cash. So the reality is that we look at the urban areas in the country, I really don't see why anybody should be bothered about cash. And I don't really know the transactions I do with cash. Even when they wanted to change the naira and there was a lot of uproar and all of that, I said, you cannot bother because really, I don't see the reason why I have to keep a lot of cash in my house. The same thing, this particular policy, yes, I look at it, yesterday I have to personalize it and say, okay, this policy, how does it affect me personally? What exactly do I have to do with cash on a daily basis and a week that will require me having huge volume of cash? The only worry would be a fragile IT system in the banking sector. The fact that sometimes the banks can mess up a lot of times. Most times, the festive periods and holidays, you go to ATM, they are not working. When you want to do transfers, the bank applications are not working very well. And then I was clear that you are doing applications for people because of the 100,000 over the counter in the bank. You now have a lot of people crowd in the bank, because if the ATM is just 20,000, it means you want to get something more than that, you have to go into the bank. So these are the issues that I think the CBN needs to really think through before giving out these kinds of policies. We have read through all the papers. The complaint is coming immediately from the POS operators who would have to service with cash, multiple transactions in a day. Where would they get it? Because they are not really the ones to the cash. They are used to service people who want small amounts of money. So that's the case. But for people, ordinary Nigerians, I think a lot of us are now used to, using the e-channels, doing transfers, using the bank applications. I think we should encourage that. But I just think that there may be some exemptions for maybe one or two kinds of businesses that are required. I think for the rural area, people still depend heavily on cash in some of our rural areas. There are even places that in terms of they can't do transfer, just give me cash. But again, I think somehow we find a way to adjust. Nigerians are very fast at adjusting to things like this, and then we move forward with it. Yes, there are going to be challenges, but we also have to look at the bigger picture. What are the advantages that come from this? I read through some of the comments of people online and in the papers, and some people are saying that, look, people will not even attack you again because they will not pass anywhere anyway. Where the guys going to come from? So even if you kidnap, you are not careful, no cash will come anywhere. Unless we now ask saboteurs to bring the ban, and that was what they now asked to really work on, so that you don't create a policy and then people that want to get taxi get key. So we don't have to be careful to say it's a bad policy or something. I think we need to really check and see where this will lead us.
Well, for one, the fact that the cost of the new notes, there's the redesigning ongoing, the cost of that one is going to take a whole lot from the federal government. Don't you think that, printing a lot of cash now for there to be availability of it will be a little bit difficult, which is why I think this would in one way or the other be a good thing, because at this time now they won't have to print so much. Exactly. So now they are redesigning.
And you can tie everything together. So even the new notes will not, they will not have to print so much cash, because I think what they are trying to stay away from is having too much cash in calculation and all of that. So we mean that you just have to. I think we need to begin to look at some of these policies critically, not necessarily because we want to criticize or so anything that comes from the government is bad or from the CBN. Sometimes we have to check and see whether there are some policies that we can take away from. I agree that it will come with its own challenge. It's not easy to adjust to things like this. But for the POS operators, I think we can make a case and see whether they can get some exemptions, some level of exemptions on this particular one.
All right, so that's just the major thing. I think the major issue here now is from POS operators, because they are the ones who their business is very cash intensive. They need to have cash on them. And the interesting thing is that you can see someone can just come and say, "Oh, I would like to withdraw 5,000," and then another person comes 2,000. So with 5 people, you are done for the day, and that's another way. But there are a lot of channels, or there are a lot of banks out there that give out POS, so maybe that's another option, having multiple POS terminals. I think maybe they should explore that. But aside from all of that, you go to the market and you buy foodstuff, say for example, and you buy foodstuff worth over a certain amount. How do people pay for that? But I think now it's just help people to plan better. But we'll try to see how we'll try to get reactions from people much later on. Some people are saying, wrong timing and whatnot, especially in this festive season. People are going to go out to purchase a lot of things and all, but we'll see how things go. There's a lot of reactions that are surrounding this, mixed reactions, I might add. Very important, mixed reactions, I might add. But then I'm wondering why someone would want to go and have over $1 million cash with you in your hand. I mean, that's in this time that we're in, I don't even think that's actually advisable. But then new naira, customers, companies panic as CBN slashes withdrawal limits. More details on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Okay, and we also have here Lagos OK's hijab for schools. PFN preaches peace. All right, so this conversation has finally come down to Lagos, but then the Lagos state government has directed all schools in the state to allow the use of hijab. I don't think that was ever a problem though in Lagos state. I think it was people were allowed, students were always allowed to use their hijabs and their scarves for religious purposes, that is, as long as it's for religious purposes. And so,
I think it became a problem in Kwara State.
Yes.
The fact that some schools owned by some Christian missionaries or some Christian-owned schools, institutions where students of Muslim faith wanted to first with hijab, and they said that this is a Christian school, you must come here, you must obey the rules of the dress code in terms of how you appear in school. So and I've always advocated and said that when it comes to religious tolerance, it comes with a bit of common sense. If you want to have your child dress the Muslim way to school,
take your child to a Muslim school.
Take your child to a Muslim school. I have a 4-year daughter who usually hijab to school, and basically what I did was take her to a Muslim school, a Muslim private school where they allow hijab, which is even part of their dress code. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't see the reason why anybody should argue about this thing. If the Lagos government has approved that in public schools or schools, hijab should fine, but I'm just saying that this thing should not even cause any And it's not when you're young in school, baby. I think for the girls, the name that you find on their head is the beret.
Exactly, yeah.
This is just the beret, and everybody was fine. There was no argument about hijab or no hijab. And the rules about hijab, I'm a Muslim. I know the rules guiding this thing called hijab. But again, we are just a country where people just want to make issues from nothing. If you want to have that, but it's good that Lagos government said it should be allowed. It's fine.
They should allow them. If you want to wear it, allow them wear it. If not, then. And also, there's a response or reaction from the PFN, that's Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria. The General Secretary has said, let's have peaceful coexistence. The most important thing is to ensure that our children are receiving quality education, which I totally agree with. Exactly. All right, moving on. That's on page 6 of the Punch newspaper. They also have here soldier with fibroid tortured for attempting to resign. That is on that I know, right? Well, that's on pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. So apparently, a Lance Corporal, Philomena, has begged the Nigerian army to allow her disengage due to her health condition and the maltreatment she has received from her superior officers. All right, and this is she's attached to the 22 Support Engineering Regiment, Intelligence Department, Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State. And this started in 2017. I'm trying to have an understanding here. Someone is trying to resign. She has health issues. Should that be a problem?
Maybe the military found that there are rules of engagement and disengagement. And before you sign up to take that job, I'm sure a lot of them would have been well informed and educated on what it takes to be employed as a military person, and if you want to resign. There are always reasons are always for resignation, but I think there are rules, there are steps and procedures to not completely just do. And I think it's sometimes condition. I think there's no reason why it's not they allow people to take from the military. But again, some of these stories you have to be very, very careful to get clear this is what has happened. Because again, now the report has now put the sentiment of fiber. I agree that fiber is a big issue because I'm ready and all of that, but one has to be careful to. Unless you understand the complete story, we can get the complete story.
All right. Well, there's a whole lot of stories here that we can get. But then, speaking with the spokesperson for the 81 Division Nigerian Army, in person of Major Olani Oshoba, he said he was not aware of the matter. However, he has advised the victim to see him over the matter. Saying that he doesn't think the officer has actually exhausted all administrative procedures. So she should come and see him, and they will look into the complaint and ensure she completes the administrative procedures, and things will be sorted out. I
know that there are procedures to be.
All right. So more details on pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. We also have here, federal government sets up panel to probe oil theft. And that is on page 22 of the Punch newspaper. So here we are, Fuad. There's another probe. I thought there is already one ongoing now, where they summoned. Is that another one? Is that a different one where the NNPC boss was summoned, the Minister of Petroleum was summoned, and there's been a lot of summons. I thought we already had that, but apparently what we have now is that the National Security Advisor, that's Major General Babagana Mongolo, retired, yes, has inaugurated an 11-man special investigative panel to look into the cases of oil theft and oil losses in the country. All right, so the panel is chaired by the interim administrator of the Presidential Amnesty Program, Major General Barry Ndiom. Okay, so this, all right, so this particular one, okay, it's not coming from the Assembly, I guess. This is from the National Security Advisor, and because he said the alarming rate of vandalism and theft of crude has led to a significant decline. So they need to look at it because it's threatening the economy of the nation, constraining the administration to revert to less popular monetary and fiscal policies to address it. So they are looking deep into it, and it is in this connection that they're worried, and they said, okay, we need to set up a special investigative panel on oil theft and losses in Nigeria to investigate all aspects of crude oil theft, identify the culprits, and submit its report for necessary action. So submit to who now? I'm curious.
You want my honest opinion on this issue?
You still give it?
I just want my opinion.
Your honest opinion. Your honest opinion, because I know you still give it. I'm with you.
Okay, now the thing is this. I think that there is a court that posted something recently about the idea of Nigeria and Nigerians setting up panels and committees. And I think what he said was that, look, if you want to pretend to solve a problem, even when you are not really interested in solving that problem in Nigeria, just set up a panel and committee. You do what you give. If you want to pretend as whether a governor or president or public official, if you want to pretend to solve a problem, but really in your mind, you are not interested in solving that problem, just set up a panel or a committee. Investigate, do this, and submit reports, and then you go on and on and on and on. What exactly is there to set up a panel about historical standard? Where we have the Navy, we have the police, we have all the security apparatus in the country. Is oil theft something new? Is it something so new that we need a panel? Okay, so what will the panel do? Okay, the panel will work with you and we now to fish out releasing the oil and then write a report on it. Who are they going to work with? You know, the same people that are supposed to do the job. So for me, it's just a way, you know what you call motion without movement. You know, you do as if you are doing something, just you know, activity, just form activity, as if something is being done about something, but really nothing is being done. So the reality is, look at the situation, Sandra. Our quota of 2 million barrels per day, we can't even reach 1 million barrels per day. We are struggling to go 1 million barrels per day because of oil theft, Sandra. That is the highest level of economic sabotage that we can ever talk about. We have a open quota of 2 million barrels per day. We can't even do 1 million barrels per day.
It's not even up to 500.
So what are we talking about?
445,000.
Okay, so we are now, what are we now doing? We are now setting up panel. Okay, so the panel will see, you know, of course, you can't have a panel without funding them. They are going to have to do a whole lot of things. They will go into the field, bring up reports, talk to people, then set up a committee again to review their reports, and then on and on and on and on and on. That's what I'm telling you, basically, that we are just wasting time. I don't think that serious commitment to ensuring that we stop all theft in this country. And that's just my own honest opinion.
Well, more details on page 22 of the Punch newspaper. We also have train attack victims demand federal government compensation. That is also on page 22 of the Punch newspaper. Okay, moving past that, we also have queues grow. Ex-depot price hits 235 naira per litre. That's on page 31. So if the marketers are getting it at depot,
231,
235.
Depot price. Yeah.
So now, how much would the pumps be?
I'm buying at 250, and I'll be buying at 250. I still bought yesterday at 250 per litre. And
we're moving on. We're moving on like that.
Because look, if I have to buy at the 165, 170, I have to spend quality hours of maybe 4 or 5 hours queuing to get it. Because the major filling stations, the major markets are the ones doing that, and the queues are killing. I don't want to go through that kind of stress. So, but the those that are selling for 250, the independent market are the small filling stations. If I really see any queue, we're just driving by and leave at 250 naira per litre. So, and again, as this goes on, Sandra, have you heard anything from the NNPC?
None.
Okay. So,
no, not even from the federal government or even the Minister of Petroleum, who's supposed to address us and tell us what exactly is going on. What exactly is the true situation of things?
So do you now understand why I said it's a criminal silence?
Well, private depots in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Calabar, among other cities, have raised the ex-depot price of PMS from 220 to 235. Officially, the approved subsidized ex-depot price is actually 148. and then marketers are now allowed to sell between 179 to 180. But since the scarcity became severe weeks ago, the cost of commodity has continued to jump, and now marketers are even calling on NNPCL to provide an explanation for the prolonged scarcity of fuel nationwide. Because it's very unfortunate, and the truth is the NNPC is the best person, or the best to explain better the question, because they are the sole importer of PMS. Yesterday, yesterday, nothing. Yesterday, I still just taking us back to yesterday in Situation Room with Adiola Yusuf, and this, yes, and this with that revelation and this silence from the NNPC. All of it is just a very, it could be very, should we say, upsetting or frustrating. But then more details on page 31 of the Punch newspaper. Also, we have diaspora Nigerians sue INEC over poll, and that is on page 13 of the Punch. And what that basically means is that Nigerians living in the UK and various parts of the world who have attained voting age have dragged the president and INEC to a federal high court in Abuja, seeking enforcement of their fundamental rights to vote in the 2023 general elections. All right, and we'll see how that particular one goes.
I don't know whether I don't think the constitution captures diaspora voting yet. So I would have thought that it should be more of pushing it through the legislature, having the National Assembly begin to come up with a law that would capture diaspora voting. Because again,
they're referring to sections 13, 14, 42, and 17 of the 1999 Constitution. That's where they are picking their rights from, or the provisions of those sections. That's where they're picking it from. So hopefully, as we move on, we'll be able to get.
Sandra, sorry, because when you look at the logistics, you said diaspora voting, so it now means everybody and anybody anywhere in the world.
That is in Nigeria.
So how do you do that? That's in Nigeria, yes.
NIN.
So it's not just it's not about UK, the US, and all of these other popular countries, but a lot of other smaller countries. People in Asia, Indonesia,
NIN.
Online thing.
They should go to the embassies, the Nigerian embassies. They should go to the Nigerian embassies there, vote. There's one INEC official. It's unfortunate, they would have to, those ones will rest. So embassies, INEC, one INEC official in every embassy in the world. And
you think it's that easy, Sandra?
I'm just saying, I'm just, providing some sort of.
In the UK, for example, the population of Nigerians in the UK.
It's okay. Let's quickly rush through what we have on the front page of the Guardian. Yes, exactly. All right, you're listening to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, and we're moving on to the Guardian newspaper now. And the major headline there is Nigeria to spend 160% of revenue on debt service in 2027. That's a warning coming from the World Bank. So we have readers to that, and first one is Ghana's default raises fear about Nigeria's fate. World Bank pushes for aggressive reforms to save economy. 70% of bank loans go into state projects. Poor countries' debt service payments to top $62 billion. So, what basically the World Bank is saying or warning Nigeria is that our debt service cost to revenue ratio could hit 160% in 5 years. All right. If certain very urgent fiscal policies are not put in place. Let's not forget that the Ghanaian government at this time is also having some sort of economic woes from the debt default that they are having, trying to regain some sort of economic stability. So based on this one now, that hopefully they're saying that hope Nigeria will not have it worse than that. Nigeria is not the only one. Ghana is not the only one. There are several other African countries that are fighting to prevent a debt crisis. But then the Nigerian government from January to April spent 119% of its retained earnings on debt servicing. So this is seen as a sign that the country is approaching a fiscal cliff, and we may fall.
Are we approaching it, or we're already there?
And we may fall soon.
We are not approaching it, and we're already there.
Eh?
What we are just praying for and working, hoping to work towards is not to fall off the cliff. But what are you telling me, that we are not approaching it? We're already there. If that percentage of the country's revenue is to service debt, so what is the meaning? We don't have a budget deficit of how many billions of naira. So the fact is, we are not in a good place, and I don't know to ourselves. We are hanging by the cliff and hoping that there will be something drastic done to get us off the cliff, so that we don't tilt off the cliff and then fall off completely. Fiscally, we are in a serious crisis. The idea of we are not returning to a crisis. We are already in a serious crisis. And we are actually seeing the effect with a whole lot of things. And that's why you see the CBN. I'm sure the experts in the CBN are racking their brains seriously in all of these policies you're saying. So that at least they can just mitigate the effect of some of the things we already are talking about.
Yeah.
So it's not that you are already, and so some of the things you see from the CBN, some of their monetary policies and fiscal policies are tied to the fact that we are not in a good place financially as a country.
All right, let's not forget that the last tender was as at October. Yes, as at October or so, the debt profile of the country was 71 trillion naira. And yesterday, there might be some sort of increase due to the fact that our subsidy payment still, is still there for us to do. And let's not forget that we pay that in dollars. So it's growing by every time the naira falls. The debt will have to keep growing all across board, not just subsidy now. All right, so before we don't see that before the end of this administration, by May next year, we may be talking of over 100 trillion. And I really sincerely, deeply, genuinely, truly hope that our presidential candidates can all see what they are going to.
And they know they are taking, they are putting their heads into what exactly they are going to face.
And how they hope or how they intend to resolve all of that, because you can't get there and start telling us, oh, I didn't meet any money and that's why I can't do anything. So but more details of this on page 6. It's a warning, actually. I hope that the people in charge of our money would know what to do. All right, more details on page 6 on the Guardian newspaper. Moving on, we also have CBN places restriction on cash withdrawals beginning from January 9. Okay, so people still have enough time to put themselves in order. We also have, that's on page 3, by the way. We also have here Aregbesola loyalists seize hostilities, move to rebuild Osun APC after Oyetola's defeat. So congratulations to them. We're wishing them.
You destroy the house and come back to rebuild. I like the fact that I said congratulations to them. After they destroyed the whole thing, I want to. So they've achieved their aim.
No. Sometimes you demolish something to rebuild something bigger, something bigger, something more beautiful. So that's why it's congratulations to them and wish them all the best.
Ordinarily, if the party is a party with truth, they should just expel them. Yes, now. If it's a party with rules, what they've done is simply put anti-party, and then you don't want to return. It's just expel them. Let them go and join the PDP. And what are the things you say about politicians not having what you call this large ass, again, because no ideology even binds them.
I think it's more of sense of responsibility. But then more details on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have here Chatham House. Tinubu tired, should take deserved rest, says Atiku's aide. I don't know. There's a lot of conversation around the Chatham House, interview. I really do not want to go deep into it because there's going to be a lot of reactions on that one. But more details on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. I don't know, Fuad. Imagine I come to you, I come to apply for a job, and then I bring my cousin, and you're asking me a question like, oh, my cousin is here to answer your question. Are we going to employ my cousin?
You found that we had a bit of conversation on this yesterday. And I understand the sentiments of people on the fact that, oh, you would I should have been the one answering all the questions. And I think I also agree with that.
Okay.
Because the interview session was supposed to help Nigerians. Some of even clear some of the doubts we have about his mental coordination, his ability to be able to coordinate himself when he speaks in public. In recent time, he's been having this street, this street flop with statements and comments and all of that. So that opportunity came for him to at least, bring himself up, answer questions after questions. So I mean, people can again maybe clear their doubts about his mental coordination, his intellectual capacity to do things together. I really don't know why he decided to, come up with the idea of throwing questions around to some of his, because they are not even his ministers or aides, they are just his entourage, governors, former governors, and the rest. And if you look at the two camps, the opposition and the APC, the APC is quick to defend it by saying, oh, it happens everywhere. The time that even I've been seeing videos of them showing Biden giving answers to Dr. Fauci on the issue of COVID, and I think these are policies of the president. He's not the president.
That is a president, who has put people in charge of certain,
So if the question is true, for example, the Dr. Fauci video, Dr. Fauci is the one in charge of their infection disease, whatever. And so it was a question on the issue of COVID.
That's not
and so he said, as the president, let Dr. Fauci answer it because he's in charge of it. But, okay, El-Rufai is just a governor in Kaduna State. And unless he's telling us that, look, he already has them in mind as cabinet members, well, it would have been better, at least for him to answer those questions so that Nigerians can have an idea of what we intend to do about some of those policies. And then they really clear their doubts about the mental coordination and all of that. But again,
it's okay.
Some of these things, they have their ways of doing things. But for me, I think it was just
it's okay.
I think it was the wrong strategy really to have done that.
We all agree. More details on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Now, moving on, we also have controversy trails new correctional facility as firm demands land compensation from NCOS. That's the Nigeria Correctional Service. Yes, I got that correctly. Okay, so there's the detail on page 4. So what we have is that the ongoing construction of a new correctional facility in Kashi, Abuja, has become entangled in a land dispute between the federal government and a quarry company, Nino Construction. So the company is claiming that NCOS illegally took possession of their business premises, and they are saying that it has crippled their business operation because the site cost multi-million naira investments built with bank loans and huge accumulated interest. So that is what this is about. Although the correctional facility is still under construction, but then Nino Corporation Limited, which said it has been ordered to vacate their own property, is demanding compensation and time to relocate to another site. Okay, so this is still ongoing. We'll see how this will turn out. I don't think there's any court case yet as regards this. So I think they're basically told to leave the land, and they're saying, okay, if we're going to leave, give us time and then compensate us for taking our land. That's basically what that is all about.
I think we just have to move on with that, and it's an ongoing story, so we'll wait to see how it goes.
More details on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper, and that's all we can take from the Guardian. Moving on very quickly to the Nation. All right, and the Nation major headline there: Tinubu, I'm candidate to beat. That's why attacks are coming. So there's the writer to that is ex-governor speaks on records, wealth, and economy. Campaign Council defends Chatham House outing. So more details of that on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. All right, and now we also have here oil theft. Nigeria may lose $23 billion next year, says NSA. So we're still back to this special panel that is checking this. So what we have is that Babagona Munguno, that's National Security Advisor, is saying that if crude oil theft continues, the country may lose $23 billion next year. And he said that this escalation of the acts of vandalism or theft and all has led to a significant decline in production. All right. So that is, I think that's just still the same on what we discussed from the Punch. More details on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. And moving on now, still on the front page of the Nation, Wike knocks federal government on East-West Road. That is on page 5. We have, and we also have, daughter sets parents ablaze in Lagos. That's on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. Just a quick one. So the police in Lagos have begun investigations into the circumstances surrounding all of that. A 52-year-old woman, biological daughter of an 85-year-old man, and his 80-year-old wife were drugged and set ablaze. And it was gathered that it was actually this same person, actually, the daughter, that set both of them ablaze. So the couple were reportedly sleeping when the attack was done. All right, there's still investigation ongoing on that. That's on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. Moving on now, we also have Buhari reappoints 2 CBN deputy governors. That is on page 7 of the Nation newspaper. And what we have, okay, we don't have page 7. Okay, so what we have from this is, okay, yes, thank you. What we have from this is that the president has urged the Senate to confirm the nomination of Edward Lametek Adamu for reappointment as deputy governor for the second and final term. All right, and also for Mrs. Aisha Ndaunsa Ahmed for reappointment for the second and final term as CBN's deputy governor. That's on page 7 of the Nation newspaper. Okay, so moving on now, we also have above the masthead of the Nation, Sultan Khan update on peaceful 2023 elections. That's on page 2 of the Nation. Federal government seeks UN funding for 2023 polls and census.
I don't know why we are still bent on having the census in 2023, and I really know what exactly we intend to achieve with the census, other than the fact that, well, maybe some people believe that there are funds that will be available and they need to get spent. And we don't know, honestly, Sandra, what exactly we want to achieve with the census. Yes, it's long overdue. We're supposed to have been conducted in some years back, but the fact is, it's an election year. We are not, we don't even have a lot of money to spend now. The country is battling revenue, debt issues and all of that. And people keep pushing this idea of having the census. I was a part of the census in 2007. I know what I can call the charm that comes with the census. It's a complete charm, because half of the entries we have adopted. More than half of the entries we eventually get as figures and population figures are adopted. I would have thought that whatever we do with NIN, the BGN and all of that, which is about data for planning and all of that, should be adequate, at least for now, sufficient for some level of planning. So again, the argument will now come down without proper census, you can't even plan, you can't take from policy decisions and all of that. But if somehow we've been able to capture sizable members of Nigeria with the NIN, BGN and some of the things, and that should be adequate, at least for some level of planning. But if they are pushing through the we'll see how it goes.
How much?
I thought that really we don't have, it's not compulsory that we conduct the census next year. We are always pushing forward.
Especially not a time where we can't even really afford it, now. But more details on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. Aregbesol's men seek return to APC, dissolve group. That's on page 6. Finally from the Nation, Morocco roars into World Cup quarterfinals. That's on page 31. The first African nation to advance to the quarterfinals in the World Cup. It's an amazing one. We're wishing them all the best. I have to say, aside from Morocco's feats, I mean, this World Cup so far has been quite an amazing one. Despite the fact that Nigeria, is not playing. A lot of Nigerians are heavily invested in the World Cup as it is now. Well, on the front page of Vanguard newspaper, there's not much happening there. We just have pictures of pictorial reports, yes. But of course, the major headline is CBN limits cash withdrawals to 100,000 weekly. All right, and some micro entrepreneurs are responding, saying the CBN did not consult enough on how to do this. Okay, and we also have banks customers saying it's a good one, but implementation will be difficult. All right, and of course the major, the major people or the major population of people laying complaints are the mobile money agents. That's the POS people are saying it to put them out of business. Yes. Moving on now. That's on page 5. By the way, moving on now. We also have 2023 polls. I won't allow manipulations. Buhari vows, and that is on page 4. So the president is reiterating his commitment to a free and fair and credible election come 2023. Hopefully we can bank on that, and that's on page 4 of Vanguard. All right, we also have here FGN Sukuk, investors' interests remain strong. Okay, that's on page 4 also of Vanguard newspaper. We also have here NBA boycotts call to bar ceremony over Olanipekun refusal to resign. That's something that has been rocking. Yes. What exactly is happening? Let's see. Let's go deep into that. So, the Nigerian Bar Association doubled down on its position that the chairman, body of benchers, Chief Wole Olanipekun, SAN, must resign by boycotting the call to bar ceremony of over 4,000 new lawyers into the legal profession. All right, and looking deep into all of this, what exactly is the issue is that their decision to shun the ceremony was based on the refusal of Chief Olanipekun to resign over issues surrounding an indictment of a lawyer in his chamber, in person of Miss Adekunbi Ogunde. So, that's an interesting one though. But digging deep into that, you can get all of the details on page 41. Because one of the members is saying that my current letter is to bring attention to attention the earlier call made by my predecessor and to emphasize the damage being done to the legal profession by reason of our collective silence over such a devastating issue, with the expectation that the chairman will see reason to show remorse, and for the BOB, that's body of benchers, to ask the chairman to recuse himself, knowing that no one is bigger than the legal profession. I'm trying to understand what exactly this person
at the chamber. That was what I was waiting for in that report. I know there have been issues of allegations against him, I think, in the manner of the way, But honestly, I think that, instead of hoping that if you expect somebody to resign or something and you think you have a case against him, why not take him to court? Why not probably approach the court? You are the owner of the court anyway.
And
so if you have any issues of, that boils down on morality or maybe issue of corruption or something, I think you should have probably just taken to court and seek redress in court. And because if you decide not to resign again, you going to continue to boycott and continue to boycott, and then ways out of it other than just boycotting, the process. That's what comes to mind now.
All right. So what I have here is that there's a certain letter that went round. That went round that supposedly from his office. Supposedly from body of bencher. That's from some Chief Olanipeku's office, and the letter was directly sent to the chairman. All right, and in the said letter, the NBA president revisited this particular issue, written in by an erstwhile partner in his firm. That's this woman now, Miss Adekunbi Ogunde, which attracted public odium and was already looked into and decided upon. But the lawyer at the center of the storm now, this Miss Ogunde now, had come out openly to admit that the letter she wrote, which unduly solicited for patronage from a foreign multinational, was a zealous, unilateral and thoughtless action of her own accord, without the authorization of the chamber she worked for, and she has resigned her appointment, tendered apology for embarrassing her employer, and even went to the extent of recusing herself from practice for an unspecified number of years. So if all of this has happened, why is calling on for his head? Exactly, because the staff in question has come out to explain the situation, apologize, resigned, and even recused herself, and the employer is the one that is now bearing some sort of brunt. So I'm trying to have an understanding of that, but we're not lawyers, so I'm sure.
And it's a bit confusing, Sandra.
Yeah, well, that's it that we can take for trends in the papers for this morning. We'll be back by 8:40 for Mainland Focus, so stay with us. When I come back, we'll introduce the focus for the morning, and you get to be a part of the show. You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
Land 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial. 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial.
Have you been swindled in the past in the course of owning a property? Have you been searching for the best real estate investment opportunity?